Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So excited. I got my husband here again, Sledz, and we are coming to you live from our deck, our front porch. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm excited to have you here and watching and tuning in. My channel is all about being real and raw and vulnerable and sharing with you some tips and tricks on entrepreneurship or being at home with, as a stay-at-home mom maybe, or kind of A to Z. We incorporate our kids in here. I got my husband here. Every once in a while, I'll bring on a guest speaker. So again, thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm really excited. We're going to be talking to you about how to identify deal breakers to attracting a world-class partner. Yeah, that's him. Before we met, we had actually done this independently of one another, not knowing, and then we met. And so I'm a firm believer that what you speak about, you bring about. Is that how the saying goes? And we actually, like I said, we did this independently. And so this is just, we're going to take you through what I like to call a winning formula, right? The three steps, a three-step winning formula to identifying your deal breakers to attract a world-class partner. So why don't you tell everybody, Jared, a little bit more about how you identified yours?
I mean, it gets to the point where you make that decision in your life because the timing's right, where you're like, I want to have something serious in my life. I want to have a relationship that I want to have that potential of taking that relationship to the forever point. Like a lot of things in life, if you actually don't have a direction, if you don't kind of know what you're looking for, where you're going, it's going to be very difficult to ever make that happen. I think so many people go out aimlessly, just kind of waiting until, Mr. or Mrs. Right comes along, but they've never really talked about it or thought about it as to what makes someone right. So I kind of got to the point where I said, listen, I'm going to figure out some things that I want to have in my life forever. There's some things that I valued in the past that I still did to that day that I thought were important. And then looking forward, I'm like, I believe, maybe I'm not right, but I believe that in 10, 20 years, these things are still going to be important. I still want to have these things in my life or in my relationship. So that's where it started. So you need some staying power in some of these deal breakers. That's kind of the step number one, is to identify the staying power in your deal breakers.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was thinking, whether you're in a relationship now, right, or you want to be in a relationship, I think this is both equally as important, because I have a lot of friends that are in relationships that maybe I can tell, right, probably not going down the path that it seems that they're happy or this is their forever. And I think sometimes we get stuck. We get stuck in a relationship. You were in one before, right? I was in one where you're not willing to maybe identify these deal breakers to make the changes, to get out of the relationship that maybe isn't in line with what it is that you're looking for long term. So if you're not in a relationship, perfect timing, right? Identify those deal breakers that are, in fact, number one, staying power, but also if you're in one, take the time, right? It's not too late. Figure it out. And if it's not in line, maybe it's time to reevaluate your relationship and get out. Just kidding. All right, guys, number two, right? I love this. You can't be too specific. And what do we mean by this? I love your description for this.
Well, the whole idea of, tall, dark, and handsome, it kind of narrows your focus to things that are might not pan out and might not even be that important at the end of the day. When you get granular in your detail as to what you want, it doesn't leave the opportunity open for other things. And I'm not saying it can't be wide open. Obviously we were talking about narrowing the focus, but really to things that matter long term and not certainly superficial things and not too granular in detail. She has to be 5'4", she has to be 118 pounds, right? And she has to have, live in this area of the city type of thing. It's obviously, we gotta leave, there's billions of people on the planet, we gotta leave it a little bit open.
Yeah, and I think you're pigeonholing yourself into, wanting it to be this perfect way. And really at the end of the day, I can tell you, being married for over a decade, having 3 kids, some of the things I thought were very important to me when I was a lot younger certainly are not for the staying power of our relationship. And so again, that is why I identified them. So let's kind of dive into some of the deal breakers that could be part of the specifics that we kind of hone in on. So I like to kind of break it down into categories. So some examples would be faith. Right? And so...
Well, and this would be an example of what you're going through now. It's an example, this is the third step.
Oh, that's true.
As in, you actually have to spend the time doing it.
Right.
So many
That's
people don't
true.
spend any time on it. It's no different than their health. It's no different than their personal finances. How much time do you actually spend on evaluating that on a weekly basis? And it's usually not a whole heck of a lot. So we just kind of go about our day, and whatever happens, happens, and we end up in a reactionary state. So the final step is actually spend time doing this. So thanks for joining and being proactive in your future and your relationship.
Yeah, so my example, before I met Jared, as I said, I just gotten out of a relationship. I knew I wanted to find the one. I was ready. I wanted to settle down. That was important to me. It might not be important to you, but for me it was. And so just like Jared and I, we both grabbed a notebook, right? It's that simple. You grab a notebook, you grab a pen, and you start writing down things that are important to you. And so when you actually spend the time doing it, like Jared just said, step number 3, you have the opportunity to really think of what's important to you. So maybe faith is important to you. Maybe that's a big part of your life, and you want to have someone that maybe isn't an atheist or, doesn't believe in God, but again, being a little bit open to, are they willing to adapt or change to that, right? Not pigeonholing ourselves into being so specific, but being really clear on what's important to us.
I think the idea of even just having it written down and knowing that this is how you feel about this topic.
Absolutely.
Right? And if this is one of the main topics in your life, it's that important for you, then at least it's out there early, and you guys can talk about it. And it actually opens up somebody else's mind, right? And you don't have to have these deal breakers. They didn't need to overlap. They didn't need to match up, right? If that wasn't something that was important to me, at least I know that was important to her, and I'm open to learning, I'm open to supporting, I'm open to respecting where she's coming from, and that might be enough in regards to allowing the relationship to move forward.
Absolutely. And so just my recollection, I had 4 main deal breakers. I want you to share yours after.
This is your channel.
This is my channel. I just get it. I had certain things that were important to me. One was fitness. Now, I wasn't looking for like bodybuilder, works out every day, psycho about fitness, but I wanted someone that cared about their health, that was active, that wanted to, take care of their body, really, what they fed themselves, things like that. It doesn't have to be too detailed, but fitness was very important to me.
Well, that idea around fitness, I love that concept, because this is like you have one body to carry you through this world, right? And we want to last as long as we possibly can with the minimal amount of interruptions, right, before the warranty goes.
Yeah.
And the idea of looking after yourself, I just think, in general, you got more energy, you got more enthusiasm, you want to travel more, you want to learn new things and grow, because I think you have that energy for life.
And if it's important to you like it was to me, I could see into our future of having children, and what does that mean for our future's health, our future children's health, right? Are they going to learn to take care of themselves? And if you're a team, if you're on board together in your fitness and nutrition, chances are that's going to spill over onto your children. So that was important to me. Non-smoking was important to me. Again, these are small things, but for me, it was a big thing. It was part of fitness. Family, that was a big one. To some watching this, you may be fine if maybe the parents are divorced, they don't have a relationship, they don't see their parents, they don't have relationships with their siblings. That might be fine to you. To me, I wanted someone like Jared, who I ended up finding, right, which I don't believe was a coincidence, who has parents that are in a loving marriage for over 40 years, right? 40 years?
It's got to be up there.
Crazy. My parents too, right? I grew up with parents that are happily married, and I wanted that. And then, not that they had to be married, but they had to have at least a relationship where we could all be one as a family. And then, of course, relationships with siblings, and family was a big, big deal breaker for me.
And I think family takes different shapes, but
Absolutely.
I think it's the love that exists
love,
there.
That's a good one. The
Right?
love. It doesn't have to be this perfect, everyone's together.
Yeah,
everyone's
and kind
happy.
of that's a direct reflection, because a lot of your programming as a child, a lot of in life is set by the time you're 7 or 8 years old. A lot of the way how you treat other people, your work ethic, your outlook on life, a lot of that's shaped by about 7 or 8. So if you're coming from a loving family, I think that's the most important thing. That'll carry forward. Right.
And you know what? I just thought of, sometimes people come from alcoholic families, they come from abusive families, and it doesn't mean you can't change the trajectory of your family if you came from maybe a broken home or some challenges there. And so if if you had the willingness to want to be better and identified that as something you didn't want in your life, but you wanted your family to look like this, our future family, I could have lived with that. I guess it would be a discussion of, what do you see our family looking like in the future?
And it doesn't even mean you come from that, but it may be something you want.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah.
That's the
And then
whole
my
point.
final one was I went through 3 already. My 4th was ambitious. And I love this because, guys, listen, I wasn't looking for the sugar daddy, the guy that would take care of me and all of that. I'm quite ambitious on my own, and I love that about myself. But I wanted someone that cared about being financially responsible, that cared about getting up in the morning and going and winning for his family. And when I met Jared, I knew he came from a family of entrepreneurs. He came from someone that knew how to work hard and smart, and that was a big one that we were looking for.
And that actually
Yeah.
ends up being the one overlapping deal breaker that you and I had
Yeah.
along the way. When I wrote it, it was willing to learn. Like I like the idea of somebody that wants to travel, that wants to try new things and do different things. And now, as time goes on, I discovered that that's his like purely growth mindset, which is also directly linked to ambitious. Right? I love someone who wants to go somewhere, right, in life.
But it's not overly intellectual, clearly.
I didn't say that.
We laugh. I don't get a lot of jokes. I'm kind of like under the radar, but I'm different.
And you know what? That's
right?
the second.
And you
that's
love that.
that's the second one I had. Was
Oh, right.
I wanted to find someone that found me entertaining. Like I wanted someone to laugh at and to this day, like sometimes she's like the only one laughing, but that's all that really matters.
It is
right?
quite true.
It's that laugh right there. I love it, right? And it was literally
find
one
it
of my
funny.
deal breakers. I have this like weird, sarcastic, layered wit that half people don't get, or maybe they just don't think it's funny. I don't know, but I find it.
I usually don't get
entertaining,
it, but I still find it really funny. I don't know.
So it works.
Because I love you.
That was
Because I love you.
still
What
there.
other deal breakers did you have?
Still there. Well, boys, this is for the guys, and
I'm excited.
there's 2 that are going to be, I guess, geared more towards the guys. I'm guessing physically appealing, right? And different people find different people physically appealing. That was one of the things
Right.
that I had, and that's actually, well, as time goes on, it's actually becoming more and more and more physically appealing. So that deal breaker is still in play, and it's still and you're still nailing it. You're still crushing it. And then to that, I mean, this one's closely linked to it, but there was a sexual attraction. So not just attractive, but like there's a desire there. You know what I'm talking about? Like that had
After the honeymoon phase is gone.
right. I didn't want to just have the honeymoon phase. I wanted to have certain things in my life for the long haul. And that
And
was
I think even just as I said, that honeymoon phase, like it really shouldn't be that, right? It should continue. I know in the beginning, the first few months and all that, it's exciting, but it really should continue on, especially after kids and all that. We know the dynamics change, but
that sounds like
that's
another
great.
podcast for some
Another day.
and maybe some professionals to get
Probably.
involved.
I ain't no professional, yeah. Man, I'm a big believer that you'll start to attract what it is that you want that's really going to provide you a world-class partnership that has the staying power for forever. And I'm excited about that. So guys, go do this. Absolutely.
It's fun.
And yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. Don't
It
put
is
too much
fun.
pressure on yourself along the way, and not necessarily chiseled in stone. These things do have the
That's true.
potential to change, and you can add or you can take away. But have fun with it.
All right, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm excited. And comment. I would love to hear some of your deal breakers, right? Jared and I can read through them and figure out what's important to you. So thanks for tuning in. Go make it a blessed day.